I'm Rick Bollar, Senior Magistrate Judge from the 5th District, and it's my privilege today to talk to Don Chisholm. Don has been recognized as a distinguished Idaho lawyer by the Idaho State Bar. Congratulations, Don. It's a well-deserved honor. I guess I'd like to start out for you discussing your longtime connection to the area.
Well, thanks, Rick, for doing this interview. I was surprised with the honor of being named as one of the distinguished lawyers for this year, and so I'm still sort of trying to absorb what it all means, and it's forced me to go back and remember a whole lot of things over the last 53 and a half years of practice, and I've conveniently forgotten a lot of them probably, but I grew up in Burley. My parents had the International Harvester and farm equipment and truck business, and then they had Packard cars from 1946 to 56, and then American Motors cars from 58 till 72. So I sort of grew up in the business. I was a guy bolting teeth on side delivery rakes, and then I was a parts man, and I continued to be a parts man every summer until the year that I took the bar exam in 1967, and then I made the decision that I liked the idea of law more than retailing cars and trucks and farm equipment, things like that, and so I became an attorney instead of going into the family business.
On passing the bar, then you took a job in Rupert.
Right. In fact, I got the offer of the job in Rupert before I made my final decision, but Larry Duff was the prosecuting attorney, and then he and Bill Goodman had just formed a law partnership because each of their partners had resigned or retired. Judge Bellwood was Bill Goodman's partner, and he went on to the district court bench, and Lawrence Duffin was Larry Duff's partner, and he had gone to California. So they put that firm together, I think, on the 1st of August, and then I think I got admitted to the bar September 27 of 1967, but I had gone to work after the bar exam and before the actual admission. I was doing research and things like that.
And then 1 year after your passage of the bar and your place at the firm, you became prosecutor of Minidoka County.
Right, yeah. Larry had been the prosecutor, and he decided that he didn't want to do it anymore, and I ran unopposed and ended up serving two-year terms as Minidoka County prosecutor.
And as in your 4 years as a prosecutor, you distinguished yourself with a case that got national attention that might be interesting to discuss.
Well, that was an unusual set of circumstances. There were some young people that were quite actively involved in selling drugs and distributing them and so forth, and so I was the prosecuting attorney, and we didn't have a whole lot of assistants to help out with things, and so I was typing search warrants and things like that and helping the drug task force that was in effect at that time go out and do the searches. And so they came up with 6 young people that had been actively involved in the drug trade, and so they were all charged. We had juvenile jurisdiction waived on a couple of them, but they were all charged with felonies, and then we had one trial. The rest of them had pled guilty. The other one, the one that had the trial, was convicted, and then Judge Sherman Bellwood, who was the district judge, scheduled all of their sentencings for the 1st of April in 1970. And so when I got to the sentencing, there was a large contingent there that apparently had been tipped off that there was going to be something big happening. And I know the Idaho Statesman was present in the courtroom, and I don't recall who else from the media, but Judge Bellwood sentenced these 6 people to the Idaho State Penitentiary, or at least the Board of Corrections. I don't recall the exact detail of how the sentence went, but then a little later, I had a call one afternoon on a Friday that a gentleman was at the Ponderosa Inn, which was the major hotel at that time, and when I finally was able to connect with him, it was Loudon Wainwright of Life magazine, and he had come to town to write a story about this sentencing. It had gotten a lot of national attention, and he was here for about a week and wrote a story, and about the November 6th issue in 1970, this story about a small town or a town dealing sterling with its own came out. So Judge Bell was featured and Sheriff Johnson and myself as the prosecutor. And so it was interesting to happen when you're 28 years old.
Well, and in my years of watching your practice, I guess one of the most tenacious and principled cases you ever took up was one in which you were a co-plaintiff, and you sued Cassia County and the commissioners for their financial engagements with the IHC, the
Intermountain Healthcare,
yeah.
right.
Yeah, reflect on that.
Well, you know, I'd been city attorney for Rupert, and I'd been the county attorney for Minidoka County, and so I knew a lot about how government ought to operate. And Minidoka County had its own hospital, and Cassia County had its own hospital, and Cassia County decided they wanted to build a new hospital. And there'd been a lot of talk about whether the two counties ought to get together and build a consolidated hospital, but Cassia County decided to go on their own, and they bought the land and everything, and then had a hospital built to be operated by Intermountain Healthcare out of Utah. And somehow a client friend of mine by the name of Truman Bradley got wind of the fact that the county was just going to turn over a bunch of their own medical equipment to Intermountain Healthcare without Intermountain Healthcare paying anything for it. And Intermountain Healthcare was a big organization, and there was no certainty of any direct benefit of the county giving that equipment to Intermountain Healthcare, because Intermountain Healthcare didn't have to pay for it, and but they were required to equip their hospitals wherever they operated. So we discovered that they had violated the open meeting law. They hadn't even made the decision in an open meeting, as I recall, and so Truman Bradley and I both felt that it was time to sort of call to their attention that there are some rules that government ought to go by. And so I filed a suit on behalf of Truman as a Cassia County resident and taxpayer, and myself as a Cassia County taxpayer, although I lived in Minidoka County, but this office is in Cassia County. So anyway, a judge ruled in our favor on that case, and I don't know, I had about $10,000 or $12,000, maybe $14,000 of time in it, but it just seemed like sometimes it's necessary to push back and make government do what it ought to do, and so that's why we did it. And we didn't ask for attorney fees or anything like that or damages. We just wanted the county to get its money and not be giving money away without following the rules.
Well, and importantly, the one remedy that you asked for compelled the commissioners to do what? Was it read and sign that they had an understanding of the open meeting law?
I forgot about that, but that's right.
And with all that dedication to time, you were also successful in raising a family. What kind of advice would you give young attorneys about balancing their life?
Well, you know, it's important that you remember what is important in life, and one of the best things you do is leave children who are productive and are able to contribute something to society. And when I married my wife, she had 2 children. She was a widow, and so I raised them from 6 and 2, and then we have our own daughter, and they've all gotten through college and everything. But you know, you have to keep things in perspective. I know that I've spent a lot of time practicing law, you know, evenings and things like that over the years when the kids were young. But and I like to say that I appreciate my family sharing me with the jealous mistress known as the law. You know, if you just appreciate using the talents God has given you to help your fellow man, and you can make a decent living, and take care of your kids and your family and everything else, that's probably the right way to go.
Well, and not to forebode any premature end to your long and illustrious career, but how do you want to be remembered, Don?
Well, just for being a good, honest lawyer. You know, I try to take a lot of pride in trying to put together transactions that work. And so, you know, if somebody's got a flaky piece they don't want to include in the contract, I won't do that kind of contract, because you know, people trust you for having integrity and doing things that are competent. And if you know you're hiding something when you put a contract together, that's a terrible thing to do. And I enjoy helping people with estates, because you know, when a parent dies or a spouse dies or something, it's amazing how much anger is triggered by the death, and some of that anger sometimes gets pointed off in strange directions, and people take out their pain and their agony on others, and a lot of times it erupts into big, expensive little battles that shouldn't take place. And I try to help people get realistic, and in general, in an estate situation, the pot never grows, so it's a question of how you can get the thing settled without having too much of the money end up in legal fees that don't end up doing anybody any good. So I try to do that kind of work, and I take pride in the success that I've had in getting things done economically for people.
And I think you should. And that's the reason why you have this Distinguished Attorney Award, and I congratulate you on that, Don.
Thank you.